The sudden silence hit Earth like a shockwave, rippling across the planet's communication systems. Within minutes, every single channel, radio, satellite, internet, went dark. No warnings, no anomalies, just a vast, unnerving stillness that blanketed the world. Even the ships patrolling the edges of human space lost contact, drifting in space with no coordinates to follow. Alex Walker stood in the dimly lit command center of the Earth Council Diplomatic Corps, staring at the blinking consoles in front of him. His fingers hovered over the console, instinctively reaching out to press a series of buttons, but no signal came through. Nothing. His stomach twisted. This wasn't an error in the system. It was deliberate. "Sir." Myra's voice broke through his thoughts. Mira Tenor was a seasoned analyst, sharp-eyed and pragmatic. She stood beside him, her face illuminated by the glow of the inactive consoles. "This isn't just a glitch. Someone's blocked us." Alex's heart skipped a beat. He'd expected something like this. Tensions had been rising for months between the Galactic Council and Earth's delegation, but this was different. This wasn't just a political snub. This was a warning. "Have you gotten through to the Council yet?" Alex asked, his voice strained. Mira shook her head, frustration clear in her eyes. "They're not answering. Not even a trace of their communications. Earth's the only one cut off." A chill ran down Alex's spine. The Galactic Council, composed of a myriad of species, each more powerful than the last, had been growing uneasy with humanity's rising influence. Earth's strong, independent stance had begun to rattle some of the more conservative council members. But this was unprecedented. Could it be a cyberattack? Alex pressed, his mind racing. The Earth Council Alliance was no stranger to sabotage, but this level of disruption was too clean, too calculated. "No way." Myra's voice was firm. "This is a coordinated move. Someone's sending a message." Before Alex could respond, a soft alarm echoed through the room. The central console flickered to life. The screen showed nothing but static for a moment before a distorted face appeared. It was a council representative, but their features were blurred, almost as if they were intentionally hiding their identity. "Diplomat Walker." The voice was clipped and mechanical. "You've been warned." Alex's breath caught in his throat. "What do you mean, warned? Who is this?" The face remained eerily calm. "You've miscalculated. Humanity's presence here is no longer desired. The silence is the first step. The rest will follow if Earth does not comply." The transmission cut off as abruptly as it had begun, leaving Alex staring at the blank screen. His mind raced. He had just been threatened by an unknown force, someone with the power to cut off all communication between Earth and the galaxy. Mira let out a low curse under her breath, her gaze unwavering. "This isn't just a diplomatic spat anymore, Alex. They've made it clear, they're coming for us." He nodded slowly, his mind turning over the implications. The galaxy had always been a dangerous place. But this was personal. And it was only just beginning. "Prepare the emergency protocols," Alex said, his voice calm but resolute. "We need to make contact with Earth. Whatever they're planning, we need to know now." Myra's hands moved swiftly across the console, but there was a palpable tension in the air, one Alex couldn't shake. The silence wasn't just an act of defiance, it was a declaration. Whoever had sent that message wasn't just watching Earth. They were preparing for something more. "Alex," Mira said, her voice tight, "we're not just up against the Council anymore. Whoever's behind this knows how to move in the shadows." Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the responsibility settle on his shoulders. Earth wasn't just under threat, it was being erased from the galaxy's consciousness. But Alex wasn't about to let that happen. Not on his watch. "We fight," Alex said, his voice hardening with determination. "We find out who did this, and we make them regret it." The clock ticked on, its steady rhythm a grim reminder that time was running out. Alex stood at the heart of the Earth Council Diplomatic Corps Command Center, his gaze fixed on the now-dark screens. The hum of idle technology was a stark contrast to the urgency coiling in his gut. The silence had spread, not just across Earth, but into the galaxy, an eerie absence that hadn't gone unnoticed by any of the systems monitoring human communications. The minutes stretched into an unbearable wait, each passing second a reminder that the silence wasn't just a pause, it was a strategy. "Anything?" he asked, his voice tight as he turned toward Mira. Mira Tenner's face remained impassive, though the slight furrow of her brow betrayed the strain. "I've tried every channel. They've all gone dark. Earth's isolation is complete." Alex's jaw clenched. He'd expected diplomatic pressure, covert threats, even sabotage, but not this. "We've been cut off from the entire galaxy." "Yes," Mira replied. She tapped a few keys, then stopped, staring at the blank screen before them. "And no one's acknowledging it. It's like we've vanished." Alex's eyes narrowed. A chill had settled in his bones, but it wasn't just fear. It was a growing sense of foreboding. Someone was behind this. Someone with the power to silence an entire planet. And they weren't finished yet. "We need to go directly to Earth," Alex said, his tone now urgent. "I'll speak with the president. There has to be a plan, a response to this. We can't just sit here waiting for a signal." Mira nodded, already gathering her things. She was pragmatic, always thinking 5 steps ahead, but even she couldn't mask the tension in her movements. She knew, just as Alex did, that something far darker was at play. The two of them moved swiftly down the sterile hallways of the command center, their footsteps echoing off the walls as they made their way toward the central communications chamber. The hum of the facility's power systems did nothing to mask the weight of the silence pressing in from all sides. "I've been reading the reports," Mira said as they walked, her voice quieter now. "The silence, it doesn't match any protocol we've ever seen. The Council doesn't operate this way." Alex was too focused on the task ahead to respond at first. He was already mentally mapping out a conversation with the president, knowing it would be a difficult one. But Myra's words lingered in his thoughts. The Galactic Council had always been a mix of diplomacy, power plays, and threats beneath the surface. But this was something different. Something personal. They reached the communications chamber, and Mira immediately started to patch through to Earth's president. The screens flickered to life, showing a simple, connecting message, but no faces, no voices, just an endless void. "Come on," Alex muttered under his breath, his fingers tapping nervously on the console. The seconds felt like hours. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, a distorted image appeared on the screen. The president's office was visible, but the usual calm and order of the space had been replaced with an unsettling sense of disarray. Papers were scattered across the floor, and the president herself, her expression grim, sat at the desk, her hands clasped tightly together. Behind her, the silhouettes of security personnel loomed, their posture tense. "Alex," the president said, her voice cracked, but still commanding. "This is bigger than we thought. What happened?" Alex began, but she interrupted him. "Earth is under attack," she said. The words felt like a slap in the face. "We're not just being isolated. The Council has decided to make an example of us." Alex's pulse quickened. "An example of us? What does that mean?" The president's face was shadowed with worry, but her voice was steady. "They're pushing us into a corner. No one's sure who's behind it, but the message is clear. Earth either submits or faces extinction." The implications of her words hit Alex like a physical blow. "Extinction," he whispered. "You're talking about a galactic-scale wipeout. A full-scale war." "We're not just fighting the Council anymore," the president said. "We're fighting something older. Something more dangerous." "Olders?" Alex repeated, confused. "What do you mean?" She looked at him, eyes filled with a mixture of dread and resolve. "The Council isn't united. There's a faction, one that sees humanity as a threat. But they've underestimated us." Alex's mind raced. A faction? A group powerful enough to push the entire galaxy into conflict? His thoughts swirled as he tried to process everything at once. "Then we'll fight back," Alex said, his voice gaining strength. "We don't have a choice." Mira stepped forward, her gaze locked on the screen. "We'll need allies," she said quietly. "The Council is fractured, but we can't go up against them alone." We'll need to find the ones who still believe in humanity. The president nodded grimly. You're right. And time is running out. The screen flickered one last time before going dark. And just like that, the silence returned. Alex turned to Mira. It's not just a fight for Earth anymore. We've got to make sure they understand. Humanity doesn't bow to threats. Mira gave him a sharp nod. We'll need to make sure everyone knows that. The sound of footsteps behind them echoed through the now empty hall, reminding them both that they weren't alone in this battle. Humanity had always fought with resilience, and they would do so again. But this time, the fight would be unlike any other. The cold, sterile air of the command center pressed in around Alex as he paced the floor, the weight of the situation settling on his shoulders. Mira stood at her station, her fingers flying over the console, but even her usual composure couldn't mask the unease in her eyes. The silence from Earth had stretched on for days now, and with each passing hour, the enormity of their isolation became clearer. We're running out of options, Mira muttered, her voice low. We've sent every possible message, every signal we could think of. The Council isn't budging. Whoever's behind this is tightening their grip. Alex stopped pacing and turned toward her, his expression darkening. What does that mean? Are they going to start attacking? What are we facing? Mira glanced at him, her face pale but resolute. We need to prepare for the worst. They've been planning this for a long time. Earth's isolation wasn't just a mistake or an accident. It's part of a larger strategy. A sudden, sharp beep broke the tense silence, and Myra's fingers froze above the keyboard. The screen before her flickered to life, displaying a distorted transmission, half static, half clear. We've got something, she said, leaning in. It's from Earth. Alex's heart skipped a beat. Finally, he whispered, hope flashing in his chest, only to be dashed a moment later as the voice on the other end came through. It was garbled, filled with static, and barely recognizable. Remain calm. We are not alone, but, still, have prepared. Mira, what is this? Alex demanded, stepping closer. I can barely make out the words, Mira said, her brow furrowed in concentration. But whatever it is, it's not the president. This isn't a formal communication. Another burst of static cut the transmission short, leaving only a haunting silence. The screen went black once more. That was... Alex's voice trailed off, his gut twisting. He didn't need to say what they were both thinking. The transmission wasn't a simple distress call. It was something far more dangerous. Mira turned to face him, her eyes filled with determination. We need to act fast. There's no telling what's going on down there, but this isn't just about isolation anymore. It's about control. Alex ran a hand through his hair, frustration mounting. I know. But how do we fight a threat we can't see? We're cut off from Earth, and every galactic counselor is turning a blind eye.
Not all of them, Mira said.
There are whispers, rumors of factions within the Council, ones that are not aligned with the larger effort. But they're cautious, and we don't know how deep the split goes. The uncertainty gnawed Alex. He'd faced challenges before, but never like this. The very foundation of humanity's future was on the line, and he wasn't sure where to turn for help. Get me those factions, Alex said, his voice hard with resolve. Find anyone who's willing to help. We can't fight this alone. Mira nodded, already pulling up the encrypted files on the console. It'll take time, but I'll get what I can. We have to be careful. If they find out we're seeking out allies, they'll come for us, Alex finished for her. But we don't have a choice. We can't wait around and hope for someone else to fix this. A tense silence filled the room, the weight of their situation pressing down on them. Myra's fingers paused over the keys again as a new alert flashed on the screen. Her eyes widened as she scanned the message. Alex stepped closer, his breath catching as he read it. It's from an anonymous source, Mira said slowly. They've located a hidden military force, one that's been operating under the radar for years. Where? Alex asked urgently. The message doesn't say, but the signal is strong enough to trace. Whoever it is, they're not part of the official council, and they're not afraid to make noise. Alex's pulse quickened. The pieces were starting to fall into place. We need to get to them. They might be our only chance. Without hesitation, Mira began initiating the tracking procedure. The room hummed with activity as the coordinates flashed across the screen. The location was deep within neutral space, far from the prying eyes of the Council, but dangerous all the same. We're taking a risk, Mira warned, her tone flat. We don't know who these people are or if they'll even want to help us. We'll make them want to help, Alex said, his voice tinged with resolve. Humanity doesn't back down. Mira shot him a look, her lips pressing into a thin line. Let's just hope that's enough. As the coordinates locked in, Alex felt the gravity of their mission settle around him. This wasn't just about saving Earth anymore. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity had the strength to endure, to survive against impossible odds. And that, no matter how silent the galaxy became, humanity would never be silenced. The hum of the ship's engines reverberated through the walls of the command center as Mira and Alex stood before the console, watching the coordinates for the hidden military force. Each passing second felt like an eternity. The quiet tension in the room was palpable, a constant reminder that they were about to make a choice that could alter the course of their mission and their lives. We're close, Mira muttered, her fingers dancing over the console, eyes flicking from the blinking screens to the star map in front of them. Her breath was shallow, as if the anticipation itself was an additional weight on her chest. But we don't know what we'll find. These people could be anything. Alex studied the readout with a frown. They were on the edge of neutral space now, the stars around them dim and distant. His gut twisted with unease, but he couldn't afford to back down.
Not now.
He wasn't sure exactly what they were walking into, but it was their best shot. We don't have the luxury of waiting for an invitation, Alex replied, voice steady despite the storm brewing in his mind. We'll deal with whatever comes. Just tell me what we need to do. Mira hesitated, her fingers hovering above the console before she turned to him. It's risky. We don't know if we can trust them. We don't even know who they are. Then we find out, Alex said, crossing his arms and fixing his gaze on the flashing coordinates. He wasn't about to let indecision win now, not with everything on the line. We don't have time for second-guessing. Myra's jaw clenched, her brow furrowing as she glanced at him, assessing his determination. You're right.
We've got no other choice.
The stars outside the window flickered as the ship's engines adjusted, shifting their trajectory toward the unknown. The silence between them stretched, thick and heavy, until it was broken by Myra's voice, a quiet tremor lacing her words. Alex, if this goes wrong. He turned toward her, his expression softening. If it goes wrong, then we fight. It's what we do. She looked away, biting her lip. Alex, I don't want you to think this is easy. I've spent years calculating risks, and this one feels different. I know, he said quietly. But sometimes we have to take the risks anyway. You know that. They locked eyes for a moment, the weight of their shared history settling between them. Neither of them had ever been ones to shy away from a fight, but this time, the stakes were higher than anything they'd ever faced before. Alex felt the surge of his resolve, stronger than ever. The galaxy could underestimate humanity, but they wouldn't know what hit them when it came down to it. The console beeped again, snapping them both back to the present. Mira straightened, fingers flying over the controls. We're entering the zone. Should be less than an hour until we make contact. Alex took a deep breath, trying to steady the nerves that threatened to seize him. His thoughts kept returning to Earth, to the silence that had followed humanity's supposed abandonment. The transmission they'd intercepted had been fragmented, but it was enough to confirm what he'd feared. Something had gone terribly wrong. The Council had made their move, and Earth, his home, was in the crossfire. I never thought it would come to this, Mira said softly, almost to herself. That we'd be out here, fighting against something so massive. Alex swallowed. The Council may think they've got everything under control, but they've underestimated us. Humanity doesn't just survive. We thrive. Mira glanced at him, a faint spark of hope in her eyes. And you think these people, whoever they are, will help us fight back? We'll make them help, Alex said firmly. No one knows better than we do how to survive when it feels like the universe is against you. Just then, the ship jolted, and alarms began blaring. Myra's fingers flew across the panel, but the lights flickered out, and the ship's engines sputtered. Alex's heart raced. "Status," he barked. "Something's wrong with the systems," Myra said, voice tight. "We're losing power. Shields are failing." "Damn it," Alex growled, springing into action. He rushed to her side, grabbing the emergency console and beginning to pull up diagnostics. The ship shuddered again, and the stars outside the viewport blurred as their vessel was pulled off course. "We need to stabilize before we—" Myra started, but her words were cut off as a strange, crackling sound filled the room. A transmission. This one wasn't from Earth, but from somewhere deeper in neutral space. The voice that came through was distorted at first, but it became clearer as the static died down. "You have crossed into our domain," the voice said, its tone dark and commanding. "Turn back now, or you will be destroyed." Alex's breath caught in his chest. They had found them, the mysterious force. But had they found them too late?